Okay, so we have notes 5.5, Intro to Substitution. The number doesn't matter, but the content is what matters. So we got replace. That's what substitution means. So to substitute, you're going to have one variable is alone, right? And then remember, a variable is a letter. And it's going to look like x equals some stuff. I don't know what that stuff is, so I put a cloud. Or y equals some stuff. And again, I put a cloud. So it's got to be either this one or this one. It might be both, but we'll see what we get there. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute, or again, replace the cloud or the stuff, right, into the other equation's matching variable or the matching letter. Okay. So I'm going to start with level 1, which is just substituting. I do have my calculator here. You will need one for your own assignment. So first, let's just substitute. Let's figure out how the heck that works. So between the top and the bottom equation, we're going to find the one that is got a variable that is alone and equaling some stuff. So between the top and the bottom here has y by itself equaling this one. So this one is my stuff. This stuff is going to replace or substitute this y. Okay, that's the only thing that's going to change. So I am going to rewrite it. So we are going to sub in. We got negative 3x, that's not changing, right? There's nothing there. Minus 6 isn't changing. However, this y is going to be replaced with this 1. And it equals 6. Okay? I replaced my y, so now it's gone. And instead of that 1 is that stuff. And our stuff in this case is just this 1. Let's do it again. So we have x equals 3y. And then we have negative 5x plus 4y equals 22. The top has an x that equals some stuff. Okay, that x is stuff is 3y. So we're going to substitute in the stuff into the other equations matching. So we're going to match. So we got an x matching variable. So this is where it's going to get replaced. Okay. So when I do this, I'm going to sub in or substitute, whatever you want to say. Think about sports if you like sports. We got minus 5. And instead of the x, we're going to sub in parentheses 3y. And again, we have a parentheses because negative 5 is being multiplied to this x. I still got to show that multiplication even when I sub it in. And the best way to do that is with a parentheses. And then we got plus 4y equals 22. If you use something other than parentheses, first, you're going to get confused. Second, that's pretty much what AI does. All right. Number next, we have y equals 2x, and then we have negative 6x minus y equals negative 24. So I'm going to sub in this, this y equals some stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself. This y equals some stuff. So that means I am going to replace this y. Okay. Now I want you to take a moment to notice, when I replace the x, notice how it's got a y here, and now the whole thing only has y's. That's kind of what we're looking for. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Right? I got that negative 6x doesn't go anywhere. The minus sign doesn't go anywhere. But instead of that y, once again, I'm going to throw in some parentheses. Equals negative 24. I subbed in, or replaced my y. And now I only have x's, which is something good that we want because we will eventually have to solve, and that's in our next level. So same kind of thing, right? We got 6x plus 4y equals 22. We got x equals 2y plus 9. The bottom has x equaling some stuff, right? That stuff is the 2y plus 9. So we are going to take this stuff and we are going to use it to replace this x. So I'm going to sub in. Now remember, only the x is getting changed. So that 6 is still there. I'm going to replace the x. I'm going to sub in 2y plus 9. It's coming in. X got tired, so we're going to bring in 2y plus 9. And then we got plus 4y equals 22. That's my joke of the day. And there we go. We subbed in the x, right? We replaced it. And now we only have y's going on here, which is something we want for when we solve. Now this next one, I got two kind of something similar because they are a little bit tougher. We got y equals x plus 10, and we got y equals negative 5x minus 20. First off, both of them have y equaling some stuff, okay? So because both are happening, I'm just going to use the first one, that y equaling some stuff, and I know I'm going to replace this y. Now you could put a parentheses and that's totally fine, but the thing is, see how this y is the only thing on this side? So I don't need to put a parentheses because there's no magic workaround, like there's not a bunch of other things with it. It is just that y, so I'm just going to replace it, right? I just replace it. And then the rest of that comes along for the ride because it wasn't a y that I needed to replace. So all I did was took this and replaced it, right? Both of these equations are y's equaling stuff, and since both of these are equal to y, the stuffs are equal to each other, if that makes sense. Same kind of thing. We got x equals 6y plus 16. We got x equals negative 2y. So both of them have a variable equaling some stuff. So what I'm going to do is just use the top one to sub in, because if they both equal y, they equal to each other. I'm sorry, equal x, they equal to each other. So I replace that x, and it still equals this negative 2y. I replace my x, the x is gone, and now I only have y's, which is really what I'm looking for. All right, let's look at the next. So this was just substituting. If you gotta rewatch it, please do. Let's go through some examples. I have quite a bit of examples. So if you think you get the gist of it, that's totally fine. So we have negative 5x minus 3y equals negative 17. We're on level 2, which is substitute and solve for the variable. And then we have x equals 7. Well, we know this x equals some stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this x with that stuff. So first things first, we're going to sub in, right? X got tired. Let's sub it in for that 7 that x equals. Minus 3y equals negative 17. Now, x is gone. We substituted in. Super great. Now I'm going to solve. I'm going to bring back them skills. I got to distribute, right? I got to distribute. This is for those of you that are in my class or have been watching these. That's the only thing I distribute to. Then I'm going to move my constant. I'm going to add that 35 on both sides. What just happened? 35. We got minus 3y equals 18. Now I get rid of my coefficient. Divide that negative 3, divide that negative 3. We got y equals negative 6. There we go. Final answer for this today. Let's do it again. Looking at our equation here, I'm not going to keep reading them because that takes time. I see that my top has a variable equaling some stuff. So in the other equation, the matching letter I'm going to replace is this y. So let's sub it in. We got negative 2x plus 7. And then we're going to sub in for that y. We're going to replace it with 3x minus 23. And this equals 0. So looking at this, the only thing that changed is instead of a y, I got this stuff. That's why I call it stuff. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to distribute. So I got negative 2x minus 21x. Oh my. This is why we have a calculator. Miss R is not brave enough to do this in her head in front of the YouTubes. Minus 161 equals 0. I'm going to combine like terms here. This becomes negative 23x minus 161 equals 0. Add the 161 on both sides, because that's a constant. We got negative 23x equals 161. Divide by negative 23. Divide by negative 23. Jordan. And we get x equals, these guys eliminate. Remember, cancel your stuff out, Miss Rawolf. Negative 7. Gotta be better about that. All right. Let's do it again. We got our setup here, our system here. We see this x equals some stuff. So if this x equals this stuff, that means this stuff will replace that x. So I'm going to bring it over. Boom. We got negative 6. I'm going to replace the x with 4y plus 8y. My x is gone. I replaced it, and now I just have a bunch of stuff. We got a bunch of y's. I'm going to distribute. We got negative 24y plus 8y equals 0. I'm going to combine like terms. This gives us negative 16y equals 0. Divide by negative 16 because it's a coefficient. And I get y equals 0. All right, using those skills from Unit 4. They're coming back to haunt us. All right, next up we got y equals some stuff and y equals some stuff again. Oh my. So I'm going to take that first one, this y that equals some stuff, and I'm going to replace this y at the bottom. Now, because that y is the only thing on that side, I don't really have to put in a parentheses because it's the only thing. There's no other constants, there's no coefficient really going on here that we need to use. And if you do like want to put that invisible 1 there and do that invisible 1 and distribute that coefficient, like that's totally fine. That's a you choice and you'll get the same answer. It's just a little bit extra work, but that's okay. So I set it up. My y has been replaced. I only have x's. This is a good sign. I wish you guys could see this purple better. And then we get a variable on both sides. We don't want a variable on both sides, so I'm going to pick the smaller one, right? Because I would rather subtract into a positive than and get a positive number. I hope that made sense. I'm going to add this 2 on both sides. This is all stuff we've done before. This is nothing new. Divide that 2. Oop, cancel stuff out, Miss Rolf. And we get negative 1 equals our x. There we go. Solve for our variable. All right, if you know what you're doing from here, you don't have to watch anymore. If you want a couple more, I got pretty much more examples. Let's do it again. I'm going to use a different color. All right, here we go. Number 11, we have our equation here. Pause and watch, or, take notes. We got y equals this stuff. Oh, yeah, look at that blue. It's so good. Okay. And then this stuff is going to replace this y in the other equation. So this is going to give us, we're going to sub in, right? We got 3x minus 2. And then we're going to sub in for this y. We're going to put a faux. Oops. Equals negative 17. And then I just do my math, right? I distribute, so this becomes 3x minus 8 equals negative 17, right? So now I'm looking at this line. I want to get rid of that 8 first because it's a constant. This is 3x equals negative 9. Divide away that coefficient of 3, and we get x equals negative 3. Solve for x's number. Let's move on right along. We got this equation here that got a little bit whooped, but we got x equaling some stuff in this one. So that means I'm going to take this stuff to replace the other x. So I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to sub it in. We got -7. Now instead of that x though, we're going to put in our stuff. We got -4y minus 19. Big number. That's okay. We know what we're doing. Everything else stays the same. All right, we're going to distribute this all the way through, which is a fancy word for multiply. So we get 28y. Ooh, I don't trust myself. And then 7 times that is, so a negative times a negative is positive. So we got 133 minus 11y and equals -3 are not in the parentheses. We are going to combine like terms here. So this gives us 17y. And then plus 133 equals -3. Subtract the 133. That's okay. It's a big number, but slow and steady. You can do it even with the big numbers. All right, there we go. Divide away that 17. Y is now just single y by itself. And this gives me -8. Check all my signs. Yeah, all my sign work is good. All right, do it again. Again, this is just a long video. Do some extra examples. We got y equals some stuff. So if this y equals stuff, then that stuff is going to replace the other y. So I'm going to sub it in. We got negative, wow, there's a lot of -7x's. -6, maybe there's only been 2. I don't know. Just some deja vu going on here. I replaced my y. There's no longer any y's, I only got x's. This is what I want for when I solve. I'm going to distribute. We got -7x. This gives me -672x equals 0. Oh, this is fun. Combine like terms. This gives me -79x equals 0. Divide by -7. Oh my gosh. Divide by -79 on both sides. We get x equals 0. Love when that happens. All right, last but not least, we have x's equaling some stuff for both of our equations. So, best practice, just use the top one. That x equals this stuff here. So that means we're going to replace our other x with that stuff. So, I'm going to sub in. We got -5y minus 36, right? We replace our x, and that's all we had to do, equals -6y minus 42. Isn't this color just great? I just love this color. It's so much it's so pretty. All right. We only have y's. We replaced our x. This is good, but we have a y on each side, so we got to move one. I'm going to move this one, right? Because I would rather work with positive numbers than negative numbers. And do that. I have my 36 on both sides, now that my variable is by itself. Now some of us know that this is the answer already, right? But for the people who need to divide away that 1 because it just makes them feel safe inside, that's okay. We still end up with the same answer even if we do that extra step. All right, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.